they bring people out of their seats, Cap, and so it's a question of, can you just close it out and get there this time against a team that has been your kryptonite for so many damn series? We're going to see it here, and this is a big series for that upper bracket, especially when you're going up against Team Spirit in the next round. You have to come out strong, you have to show some dominance so you can have a lot of momentum going into that next round as well. It's going to determine a lot of the pathways going deeper in this tournament right here. These are two of the teams that people probably had in their top 6 at least.
Yes, especially considering their performances throughout the year. You're expecting both of these teams to do very well at TI, but again, those expectations always seem to get turned on their head when it comes to the international. It has a way, the pressure cooker of just being able to break certain teams and players down when you think that they've really got it all figured out. The opening of this series, though, game 1, is there anything specific that you want to look at? Because I know, personally, I'm already looking at 23 Savage Morphling. If Talon want momentum, particularly throughout this entire event, but in this series specifically, I need the quintessential 23 Savage hero to pop off.
And he's on a C. This is a hero they brought out in Game 3 versus Gaming, and there's a reason why, right? As we were talking, every time his team has their backs against the wall, the 23 Savage Morphling is something they go back to. It's a comfort pick. He is probably the best Morphling in the world at this point.
It is his most prolific hero in pubs. It's his most prolific hero in professional matches. It's everywhere. Nisha actually using the early Q to be able to stop Q and gets them a first blood for Team Liquid.
This is a game that, in a series, it's a lot about tempo. You have Liquid, the fastest team of this tournament. They've played a lot of Furion. They've played a lot of these lineups, particularly with the Primal Beast, that they've upped the value on because the speed is just so important to them. They want to take over the map fast, they want to take over it early, and they want to put you in a chokehold, especially a team like Talon that is known for going to those C late games. You do not want to play against this team going past the 60-minute mark. It's just a death sentence. I don't care who you are. I don't care what heroes you have. It's going to get wacky really fast. So if you're Liquid, this is another type of game. You have Enchantress, you have Primal Beast, you have a little bit of a Darkseer Bedlam combo you can throw on top of Nisha this game, and you have the new Haunt in terms of that Spectre joining every one of those engagements 60 seconds off the Shadow Step.
Yeah, that's where I wanted to start on, because you're talking about a fast lineup. You know, normally people think of Spectre traditionally, this hero, oh, it's the ultimate late game hero, oh, it's super slow, yada, yada, yada. But now with Shadow Step, every 60 seconds, like this is the Furion of carries. He just gets involved all the time.
I mean, I'm pretty sure this hero's win rate going into today was like 80% over 10 games or something. So we're seeing a Spectre go later in the draft and it's just decimating games. I think people have to reevaluate. It's one of those heroes that it's stuck in your brain for a long time. Spectre, slow, late game. Nah, this is a hero that plays a lot faster now, particularly with these Urn or Blade Mail builds. And it's something that could suit Liquid really well if they try and up the pace here. The downside for them, I think, in this particular game that the panel was talking about is these side lanes should be very good for Talon. You have Furion versus the Ench, which is not as bad a matchup as it used to be because, of course, you're not playing off Treants. And you have this Treant Morphling lane, which is just a powerhouse of a lane, especially for a Darkseer that doesn't have a melee for to combo with.
Oh, Nisha playing the margins there. He went down to below 10 health against that final hit from Makoto. Makoto's still playing for it. Furion's going to come in, and he's going to be in a bit of trouble here. Nisha is going to be slapped down as the creeps were underneath his tower. This is all due to the fact that first blood. Q, yeah, he gave up the first blood, but it went to Mickey, and he also snatched away a bounty rune in the process. So the fact that Nisha just hasn't been able to get that regeneration from his bottle results in Makoto effectively winning this part of the lane.
He's lucky he didn't lose Courier off that as well. That was a bottle delivery almost straight into the hands of the Furion here. And this is the thing that Liquid have to think about, where this Furion goes in the early game. We're talking about the speed they want to come out with. If there's one king of speed in this tournament so far, it has been Nature's Prophet. This hero is almost unfightable in the first 5 to 6 minutes, particularly on these rune fights and particularly in those mid lane ganks where you just can't react to it with the same sort of support committal. So it's like Nisha's gonna have to think about even more now, the fact that he's behind almost a 3/4 of a level here in a Kuka matchup that can easily set up on him. This is something that Talon are gonna try and exploit here, especially for Q, who wants to get a fast Urn up, get the levels rolling. You get an Urn on this Furion plus the blood grenades. The kill threat on the map just goes up exponentially, and he's looking straight back towards mid.
Yep, here he comes again. Now, Nisha has been holding on to the onslaught this entire time. Another reason why he's struggling in this lane, he can't use that ability, otherwise Q's gonna come in and punish him, and he almost gets him there with the torrent. Not quite. He's gonna try and bottle up, but it looks like he's just gonna be chased down. Not receiving any help, no TPs coming in from the Liquid side. They are just leaving Nisha hanging him out to dry here. Nisha.
Slow and painful.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the one saving grace is you don't have the Urn on Furion yet, so hey, no charges.
That is true, yeah. But at the same time, okay, the Furion left lane, surely it means you're punishing the solo offlaner.
Yeah.
No. Jabs is totally fine.
Get back to you on that one.
Ollie, gonna be in some trouble here. Vacuum doesn't actually grab Ollie, grabs 23 instead. That's fine. They'll run down the Train Protector anyway because Insania, instead of trying to put pressure on the Tidehunter, they leave in a 1v1. They say, okay, it's better for us to try and have an impact in this bottom lane instead.
And it's a smart heads-up play. You do not want to linger in the early game with Enchantress, particularly if your mid lane's not going well. You have to make the action happen somewhere. This bottom lane's probably going to be the best place to do it. It just feels awkward because it's a Morphling. It's one of the ultimate brick wall carries. Yeah, I don't see 23 getting kicked out of this lane short term, especially with a Treant who Ollie can go back into the living armor points here. I mean, we're talking about slowing the game down. That is what Treant does to a T. So as long as Talon can hold this safe lane, I think they're okay with it. And it means Insania has to pick his marks very wisely in this early game. Where does he pressure? Who does he try and gank? And which of these lanes do you try and sway? Not easy when you're looking against two very tanky heroes in the Tide and the Kunkka that are pretty much full HP because they're not getting harassed. And a Morphling that's hard to kick out of the lane entirely. Tough Enchantress early game, honestly. This is where you really wanted that mid lane to go better if you're Liquid because, yep, it just opens up your plays with this Primal Beast damage. Otherwise, it feels like you're lacking it a little bit.
I mean, it's crazy. You're talking about the brick wall hero that is Morphling. I'm looking at this Tidehunter. I'm looking at a mid lane Kunkka. I mean, these are three different brick wall heroes that just stand in lane and are not that easy to gank, not that easy to kick out of lane. And if your mid lane continues to lose like it's going to, once again, Q snags in that final hit to be able to finish him off. They're going to get the kill on Q in return. Stuck underneath the tower. No problem for these two supports. But the trade-off is so favorable for Talon.
Q's really happy about that. XP, earn charges, another death on Nisha.
And Mickey is going to be run down perhaps as well. Ollie snuck his way in through the portal and showed up behind Mickey. Mickey will TP out of there, though.
He doesn't, I mean, these heroes are not close to ults for Liquid. You are a long way away from the 6 on Spectre, and you're particularly a long way away for the 6 on Nisha, who's just continuing to get punished. He's in the early stages of level 5, hoping for a 6-minute rune. And he'll get some saving grace here as a shield rune of all runes on the highest strength
exactly
in the game.
The rune he needs because he could use some more HP against these ganks.
Definitely helps. But we're seeing the difference here, right? I mean, Ollie goes top briefly, it kicks Spectre out entirely. Whereas 23 is just still living the light bottom, collecting Lotuses. This is some tower pressure with a catapult that got kept alive. No hammer up yet for Jabs. It's not getting pushed too fast. But it's going to force Insania back here, and it's not an aggressive play for the Enchantress. So it's probably going to come down to this mid-game in terms of how much Zai can get done. Zai has just been free farming on this Darkseer. I mean, he has not been touched at all. That is the very good news for Liquid, and this is a very powerful hero for their lineup in terms of activating Nisha. Okay, maybe Nisha's behind in terms of net worth. Talon committed a lot for him by basically dual laning mid. Upside is Zai's had a free game, and if we've seen one player from Liquid carry a lot of these mid games into the late game, it's going to be Zai.
So even if he's a bit underleveled, doesn't have the same kind of items, you give it an Ion Shell, you give him some extra movement speed, and he's still going to be kind of the same rampaging force no matter what, right?
And maybe some auras. I mean, you look at the damage from Talon going into that mid game. That's where these Kunkka Tidehunter type lineups fall flat sometimes.
Sure.
Like, are you actually killing heroes on Liquid side through a pipe, through a grease? It's going to be a question to answer here. And that's where the Morphling is supposed to do it, but the Morphling might take longer to get there. We'll see how much Zai can propel his team using this early lead that he's accrued. How much these supports can continue to get done in a relatively quiet early game, all things considered.
Peter Hammer is inevitably going to take this lane. And Talon, I mean, this is what they're working with here. An early laning phase, like not quite net worth lead, but it feels like they've got more momentum combined with the fact that they're getting better pressure on the towers. And they're also the team that holds their towers the best out of anybody in this tournament.
Didn't even have to put living armor points into it yet either. Another rune, Nisha's way, however. The luck continues to flow. See if he can use this one. I mean, this is another really good Primal Beast rune. He has gotten his pick. Double damage with an Ion Shell Surge.
23 here. A certain amount of burst damage. Pops out, double damage, hits him with a stun, grabs him immediately, but he's already morphed into strength. It's too late.
I mean, you have to force him off here. You cannot let 23 sit down here against a double damage Surge Primal.
23 is trying to hold on to its waveform, forced to use it now, and that's when Mickey, who just hit his level 6, is going to pop up, and nobody from Talon rotates over. They leave 23 alone on an island saying, okay, we're taking this top lane. We're doing some good farming bid. Sorry, 23.
That's a good pickup for Liquid. Really nice that Mickey gets involved as well. Quick little boat for Insania, no level 6 yet.
His heal only level 1, and no ultimate does not stop that damage. So 4-4, Talon eking out a slight lead thanks in part to that top tower that they've already taken. And Makoto already getting some swipes in here in mid as well.
This is going to be a lot about these tower trades, and if you can use the space. Jabs, he's going to try and give Talon a lead, just put this hammer to use. There's not a lot that stops us unless you're willing to combine the cores and the Darkseer and the Primal. Liquid, they're thinking about it, actually. Yeah, they're just going to bring side mid. They do not want to give up another tier 1 this early in the game. So much space for Makoto to work with if it happens. This is a tough fight, though. There's a lot of HP to chunk through.
Oh, this is going to be a rough one. Trying to kill a Tidehunter under the towers with the Ravage. They grabbed that, he couldn't get it off. Oh, just no love there from the Kraken Shell, just not dispelling him at the right time. Got chained between disables, unable to get off the Ravage. Liquid do finally get a punishment on Jabs for all that pressure he's exerting on those towers.
Just bring everybody to that fight. Shell on the Primal, Bedlam on the Primal, and then you bring that Shadow Step in. I mean, that's a lot of surprise damage he was not expecting.
It is also a pretty crazy large amount, like Ion Shell plus the Bedlam.
Still has level 1 Kraken Shell. It's not the tankiest, but 1500 HP. Well, Jab's not expecting it. Liquid will continue to combine their heroes here.
It did take a lot of heroes and a couple of ultimates to be able to bring down Jabs. At some point, isn't it just kind of like, okay, yeah, they did that, but like, don't you just go right back to it? Be like, well, I'm gonna take that tower eventually.
You just don't have support ults. I think it's the one thing hurting Talon, taking a straight up tower push that's gonna result in a 5-on-5, because you know Liquid are gonna take that fight. It's not like they have to commit huge spells for it.
Sure.
You're missing Overgrowth, you were missing the Nature's Wrath. Now you have your Fury on 6, you're still looking for the levels on Ollie.
Jabs is gonna be spotted here, Nisha.
Another power room.
An opening.
They have really given these power rooms away.
Can he get 23? Burst him down, it's done.
Okay.
Jabs comes out of the trees, and now he tried to help 23, but he's only gonna be a victim right next to him. Surprise from Liquid. Nisha making these power runes worth everything right now.
And they get the Ravage. On top of everything, to get that ult for free.
And Mickey thought this phase, we killed 2 heroes, it means I could stick around and farm some more. No, Talon will keep the pressure on. Nisha's gonna pop out of those trees. They're gonna quickly grab him to go growth into the torrent, try and chain these disabled to finish him off, and that's enough. Zai now showing up with a wall. Not very good by itself, but maybe with a little helping hand here from Boxy, they can get something. The Bedlam put onto the Darkseer to help bring down Makoto. That damage is just enough. Make a kill for Boxy, but Zai may pay the price for it, trying to get away with the Spirit Vessel, but it'll take him out. The heals from Insania not delivering in time. Good TP away from Boxy, though. He will keep his kill streak intact. Very important because he's the one getting all the 5-0-1 for Boxy. He just seems to be getting all the last hits on these.
I mean, honestly, a weird fight for both teams in an area where the objective isn't even there. Started out great for Liquid, but ended up the best for, I guess, Q here, who really just reaps all the reward on this Furion. Full Vessel already done.
Yeah.
Still has a charge left in the bank, level 8. Nature's Prophet is cruising into a position where he's going to become a potential 4th core in this game.
Yeah, his stats are going to be insane because he's getting the levels.
Yeah.
Nature's Prophet is 9.9 stats per level, right? So insane. Spirit Vessel, if he gets a Blade Mail, like he TPs in, he's not a good target to actually turn around and hit.
I mean, that's the interesting part. He's considering Blade Mail, right?
Yeah.
Not a conventional second item support Furion item. See if it pays off. I mean, there is some uncontrollable damage on the side of Liquid, but it's also not guaranteed to go on him, outside of if Mickey wants to commit his ult onto Q for a decent portion of this game, which is traditionally what you want to do in this matchup.
What would be some other options? Because I noticed Jabs is not going for, I thought it was this because Jabs is going for like a pipe build, right? Tons of magic damage going on. But he's not thinking about that. Right now he's thinking about Shard and Blink Dagger. He wants to get that initiation online.
I almost think something more aggressive damage-wise.
Yeah.
I don't want to say the Orca because I don't think it's a great Orca game, but something in that line because
Like the Solar Crest build?
yeah, you have so much utility. And I mean, Blade Mail is an aggressive option. It could definitely pay out here. I think it's a very interesting choice. It's also a decent damage item on this hero that has very good right-clicking capability.
Yep.
I mean, you look at this Talon lineup, it's going to be Tide, Kunkka, and Treant providing a lot of sustain, which is where I go back to Zai on the flip side. Like, he's going for this Greaves pipe build. That's going to be a really important timing for Liquid. You need to take good fights around Zai's timings in this game to accelerate you into those objectives, particularly for Spectre, so you don't fall too far behind in terms of, I mean, we're going back to some good old Aura gaming, right?
Yeah, I was going to say TI11, I think we would be pretty clearly favoring Liquid because we're going to get some team fights, and one side is going to have auras,
well,
the other will not.
Whoever built Wraith Pack.
Yeah, well, with no Wraith Pack, Pipe Greaves is the next best thing.
Yeah, what's the Wraith Pack to this tournament?
I don't know. I'm not sure if we figured that out yet.
Hard Blade Mail?
Yeah, that actually is, yes. Good old heart. Well, I think Talon are pretty content with just chilling out. They're farming away. I think they're happy. Liquid, they need to, as you say, hit that pipe timing. But at that point, you got to start hitting the game really hard, right? Because you said Liquid is the team that needs to play this fast.
I think they prefer to play it fast, and I think with the start, yeah, I mean, they scale fine. Like, the Primal's going to break this Tide in the late game. You have a lot of burst options on the Morphling with the Bedlam, Darkseer going in with a punch, or potentially double illusions with a wall. I just think it's like, it's Talon. Every time I feel like the game goes 70 minutes, you have to think about how this team plays those late game fights.
Yes,
and
playstyle-wise,
with the
Liquid always looks better faster, and Talon always look better later in the game.
But I don't think it's necessarily a draft limitation.
Sure.
Enchantress can also scale really hard in this game, and Insania he's going down that path. Early Dragon Lance for the Enchantress, looking to get into that Hurricane Pike, and I mean, it's a great Enchantress game in terms of being a fourth core. There's not a lot that really bursts him down on Talon's side outside of 23 committing on Insania in a fight, which is not something he necessarily wants to do first. You know, he wants to steal better spells than what Enchantress has to offer and find a better target. So Insania could bring up a lot of the damage powerhouse for Liquid going
Nisha lurking, finds him. Q, now they are going to TP in for this one. Talon is saying this is a fight that we can still take. Makoto is going to be able to grab Boxy. Tried to stop him. Stops the fear very nicely with the X pullback, and Boxy will die for that. Q for Boxy, trade off of 4s, but Boxy was the one with that mega kill streak, so that was a kill worth a lot for Talon.
I mean, you're talking about Talon being happy with the pace, but I do feel like Liquid are just getting more out of the map right now, particularly with the fact that Mickey went back for this Midas, and he's joining all of these kills every 60 seconds. Liquid are happy to trade these kills out if it means Mickey gets more XP, more earn charges. He gets to go back to the jungle, not getting ganked because Talon are not making a play of their own, which should be pretty obvious on this map with the extra lane shove you have between Darkseer, Enchantress, and the Primal. And the second they split up, you just go straight back in. And now Talon has to react again.
Yeah, they already used some of their TPs to come down to this bottom lane. There may not be the same kind of reinforcements, but maybe 23 is all you need. Shows up, turns into Primal Beast, and brings down Nisha, chasing after Insania now, who's now in no man's land, goes for a desperate TP out, but the overgrowth is there to stop him. Liquid overextending themselves, thinking they had an opportunity with Makoto being unable to join the fight, but it's quite the opposite. 23 is more than willing to take that engagement.
That's why this Morphling works so well for Talon. 23 is always happy to join these fights, even with early defensive builds like the Lincolns. Doesn't make a damn difference. He's going to contribute with the spell steal, and that's a fight where you don't have Spectre who can join that dive for the extra burst damage. Shadow Step just coming off cooldown there for Mickey, so it's a carry differential here. I like the concept from Liquid though, right? If you can split this Talon lineup on the map, abuse them with the lane shove advantage you have right now, and get some big core pickoffs, that's going to put you in a nice position. Because this is a lineup that wants the ball.
TP coming in from Q to help out here. This is not an easy kill. In fact, Mickey is going to be able to make even the odds, 2-2. Zai trying to get away with the surge while Mickey wants to finish off Q. And now Nisha is going to join in on this party, making a 3-on-2. Makoto, he pops a blade mail. He's pretty tanky. Is he receiving any help though? Doesn't look like it. Liquid will deliver more numbers. Makoto is forced to use the BKB. The first one of the game, so down to 8-second duration now.
Yeah, not the first BKB he wanted, especially being level 13 already. What he'll have to use here is Blade Mail on Blade Mail on Blade Mail. Maybe that's the new Wraith Pack. Just buy Blade Mail on everybody.
I mean, I'm sure you're pretty happy with the item build of this game. Only one Midas. I know you're grumbling about it.
I remember
making so many Midas.
That was not me. That was Fog. I like the Midas.
Yeah, you're right. I think that was actually Fog.
I'm fine with the Midas meta. I think this item's great. I think it's better on supports than cores almost.
Yeah.
Which is the one people complain about.
So what do you think about this game where it's only Mickey building it? Where in games in the past, we've seen like 8 different Hannah Midases.
I mean, it's a good point. You know this game's going to go late.
That is, yes.
Where
I mean, Talon, I understand it's like, guys, we don't want to get too greedy. Liquid might try and run us over. But I feel like from Liquid's side, Boxy and Insania, I feel like one of them could probably consider that item and be like, I'm going to scale up, boys.
Normally, I do really like the Midas on Dark Willow. I actually think it's one of the better ones in the game if you can get there.
Yep.
But I think they wanted more aggressive fight setup with the early Yules on Boxy and let Insania scale on the Enchantress, which I think is a fine route. And Ench doesn't necessarily need the Midas to scale that hard. You can just farm it up with the creeps. But yeah, now that you bring it up, suspicious lack of Midas is here. It's like both teams are trying to actually play Dota, which... that only gets you so far at TI, you know?
Sure, you gotta abuse some mechanics somewhere.
I mean, TI doesn't come down to who plays better Dota. It comes down to who abuses more cheese heroes and, you know, buys more Midases. Everybody knows this.
10-10 here as we approach the 20-minute marker. Team Liquid, very small lead, 1K, pretty much nothing. They do hold a bit more of the map, and they do have, I guess, the Midas advantage, the 1-0.
He's gonna walk into Nisha and casually boat him.
Now Nisha doesn't have a BKB. He's going for that Blade Mail Heart build. The magic damage could control him with the overgrowth. It could not get there in time. Ollie, of course, canceled it, knowing it wasn't going to be there, so that's fine. They still have that objective. That's why they're trying to smoke up and catch more. They seem to be pretty confident about taking a fight right now.
No boat to take this fight, however.
They just burst down the Train Protector, but at the same time, great Ravage. 23 shows up with the Primal Beast form.
Oh, he got feared.
Rumble, he got feared up, and he couldn't actually stop it. And the Kraken Shell gets jabs out of there, but he's blocked in by trees. Q is trying to make his own escape, but it's denied by Boxy. But they don't care about Q. They want the big watermelon. They're going to try and burst him into pieces here, gobble him up, and Nisha will take him down.
Oh, Nisha just gets a free fight off of a weird initiation by Talon, just jamming the Morphling into the river. They get stuck in a wall. Sprout's not helping at all. That's the exact type of fight Liquid want, and like you were saying, Talon smoking it up into them with no boat. You know that Nisha has Arcane Rune because you saw it on that gank. That's just not a fight you want to take, especially when I feel like you were missing an aura item. We were talking about the utility coming out from Talon.
Yep.
You're going into a Greaves Pipe Darkseer at 20 minutes. This is an insanely farmed Darkseer on side. He is the top net worth in this fight. You don't have a single aura item on Talon's side yet. Jabs one for the shard, so you get an anchor here, but I mean, Liquid are happy to sit there and hold their ground.
Yeah, Anchor's not going to do much when Liquid is
congrats.
winning the fight.
Leashed. Like, he's happy to be leashed. That's where he wants to be. It's just, there's not enough firepower in the 5-on-5 here. Talon underestimating maybe how farmed Zai is in this game. Yeah, I mean, he is 210 CS here on the Darkseer, plus a Philosopher's Stone.
And this is definitely the fight that kind of breaks open the game now, because we win that fight, okay, you get the little bit of net worth weed if you're Team Liquid, but probably the bigger prize is they were just able to take Roshan with that, so now they have a second life on the Primal Beast, and he has a heart. So this guy is hard to bring down. Nisha's just going to be running at you. Yep. And Talon, well, they're going to have to do something to be able to...
They need the next set of items here, right? Some form of control or an aura to help 23 in that fight, or at least the next Morphling item.
I feel like you're in dodge mode if you're Talon, right?
A little bit. I mean, that was the big timing for Zai to get Nisha back into a dominant position and also get that objective acceleration that they can't get without the Darkseer winning in that team fight. So now you have an Aegis for 4 minutes. You can play really aggressive here, and the beautiful thing about Spectre with these types of lineups, you put the Aegis on somebody else, it's not a carry that needs it. They can start the fight, they can tank all the spells. You just come in and clean it up if you're Mickey. And you're going to be really happy farming the dead portions of the map while Nisha looks for the open.
Yeah, you can take a lot safer farm as Spectre, right? Because you have this global ability to join in fights. And as you say, you don't have to be there at the start. You can just clean up, be the janitor.
Yeah, everybody knows the janitor is the most important part.
Yeah, absolutely. 10-13, 4,000 net worth lead now for Team Liquid. We'll see what Talon's response is to losing that last fight and the Aegis that they're now matched up against. I don't really see any big items coming in for them just yet. As you said, they need the next round, but they're not coming in anytime soon. Makoto, he's going to be found here. BKB should be able to just walk it off, but Liquid, you know, They're like, okay, we took BKB, is now on cooldown. That just gives them more momentum, more courage to be able to take any fight they can, any pickoff that they see, like Q here in the top lane. Zai, he'll throw down the wall just to slow him down, see if the TP comes in. The vacuum's going to stop that TP, and now Boxy's here to be able to ensure there's follow-up disables.
Man, look, it's starting to take over this map right now. Talon are just in stall mode, but the longer you stall this, the more you also fall behind on the support scaling. As you have a Treant, and Treant, he does a lot for you in the early game. He wins you your lane, he controls a lot of the early flow. Sometimes you fall behind on farm on this hero, and you have two supports on Liquid side, in the Dark Willow and the Enchantress, that are going to pump out a lot of damage here. Yeah. So every time Ollie doesn't get to join any of these fights, feels a little bad for Talon. Liquid just getting objective after objective with this Aegis. Another 2 minutes still left on the clock here, looking towards BKBs.
What do you think about the new Ags on Morphling?
I mean, I think it can be good. I think it's interesting that he's going to third, because a lot of those games that we watch 23 play, he doesn't opt for the early Ags. Yeah. He's just going the right-click carry build.
Yeah, like, is it... I was thinking about it, I was like, is that good versus Spectre? I don't think so.
Not really. I mean, he just wants more spell action in the game, I guess, but it's not a... It's honestly an Ags that can sometimes be very hard to use in the fights, depending on how they develop in terms of initiations.
Yeah. I feel like it would almost make more sense if BK went like a Radiance route, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
But he's got the Manta Diffusal Plate, very single target focus. It's going to be tough for some of these supports, particularly Q. Might have the roughest time here. 23 uses the waveform here to try and farm this hard camp. Could be in trouble. Run over by Nisha. Try to get him with the fear. He does manage to get off the Shadow Rump. That'll protect him for a serious amount of time. Pops Manta, waveforms away. Great morph there from 23 that keeps him alive and might even be able to get a return kill here. Boxy self-fuels to dispel some of this. Nisha comes charging right in, trying to protect his supports as best as possible, and Jabs may even be trouble. He just does not seem to be tanky enough anymore to deal with the Primal Beast.
And this is before the late game break comes out. If you're Jabs, you are not feeling too good about your frontline capabilities in this game. Just getting dragged through these zone control spells that are not your friend.
And that Axe could be coming soon. Nisha has both the BKB and the Aghanim Scepter queued up. We'll see which one he actually opts for.
I could see either, honestly. You have enough auras to back up this Primal. I don't know if you need the early BKB rush, but it just gives you a free fight as well. Yeah. The only control that you have versus these BKBs in your Talon is the overgrowth.
Yeah, if you never want to die again, to make sure that happens, then you buy this BKB as soon as the Aegis expires, and it feels like potentially Nisha doesn't die, at least for another like 20-30 minutes.
Also good versus Torrent Storm.
Yes.
If you think the Ags on Makoto is going to come out in the near future, then BKB is your item of choice here.
And he probably should know that. We've got the point booster in his backpack, so he's got to know.
I mean, what else is Makoto going here?
Yeah. Nobody really goes anything else. Nobody's doing right-click damage Kunkka anymore. It's all about this control.
There was a Radiance Kunkka match.
Oh, really? Was there? I must have missed that one.
Don't worry. Thompson was doing this. He has you covered.
Of course.
I think you have to get something done with the Morphling Ags here. Your Aegis expired, so you're hitting a window where you can take those 5-on-5 fights again. You've got your pipe up on Jabs. Haven't really been able to use it. I mean, maybe if you're Talon, you feel like you need Torrent Storm plus the Morphling Ags here, just for the extra damage. But I feel like by then, the BKBs, if Liquid want them, are going to be done.
Yeah. So this is like a small window where you can get like a little bit of a win, even out the net worth a little bit more.
Maybe not a full 5-on-5, but a core kill or a pick-off or something, because Q is giving you really deep vision on the map right now. He has an observer on the right side of the map. He has another one here on Dire Triangle. Like, these are wards that you get placed deep so you can get core pick-offs with them. So somebody has to be setting up for it in your Talon. Otherwise, they just go to waste. And you have the gem on Nisha. So at some point, eventually, there's a high chance they get dewarded or Liquid just move through the area.
I is the person without a BKB who's very often alone. Mickey immediately tries to join him, and they say, okay, let's take Mickey instead. The wall goes out trying to help him out. Mickey does do a good job of reality trying to get away, but he is just getting deeper in there. 23, though, getting knocked around by Zai, and now Nisha is going to hop in into the mosh pit. He goes, and the pure damage slices down 23 so effectively.
Just can't get anything going in the fights. Liquid playing the map way too well and not giving an even footing to Talon. Continue to struggle here to push in this late game. 10k gold lead almost for Liquid. That Aegis did a lot for them.
And now you're gonna see the Ags do very much for the Morphling? I didn't really see it.
I don't even think you did anything.
Yeah. Troublesome for Talon.
And another freebie.
I mean, this is the part that is disgusting about Spectre now, because 60 seconds level 1, but 40 seconds level 3, every fight.
Every hero you find on the map is a kill for Mickey. 2-1 and 12. Not put pressure at all this game and is going to get to a very fast Scotty here, and I mean, that's going to make 23's life even more difficult in these fights. Like, he can deal some damage, but not if he can't stick on anybody because he's stuck in a wall, getting hit by his own illusion, then gets hit by a Scotty. This gem is also going to dissuade Ollie from, you know, ratting this game out as well.
Yeah, that's a rough one too, because that's the one hero that I don't think you can ever pick off. Not with the BKB now online on Nisha.
He is a true beast right now. Somehow it is still Zai at the top, just continuing to rack up the CS here.
Well, it does kind of look like we're talking about high ground pushing soon.
Next
right?
Aegis for sure.
Probably next Roshan. Do you feel like Talon, is this wait for the high ground push with Aegis, or do you feel like you contest the Roshan fight that's coming up?
I mean, we've seen Talon play this high ground defense game. All right, it's in their arsenal, and they're getting 11% here, but if this game goes another 30 minutes, it's going to get weird. It's just, can you hold the high ground? I guess if you're Liquid, maybe your high ground isn't amazing, right? Spectre is not the best hero just sitting there and hitting the building, so you're pretty much just forcing the fight into Talon's base, potentially buybacks, which isn't, it's honestly not that scary because Talon's lineup is pretty ult dependent. So like if you go on the Tidehunter, he ravages and buys back, do you really care too much? Feels like you're either winning or losing that fight even into the buybacks. I feel like you can just force the high ground with an Aegis, particularly maybe on the Primal. Give it to Nisha again and let him just start the fight. There's not a lot to dissuade you here.
But if Talon turtle effectively enough,
well,
who is hitting that building
you can
through
always,
living armor?
You can always turtle effectively. You turtle into game 2. You can turtle into the lower bracket. I mean, turtling only gets you so far.
But the shell is so protective.
Yeah, you know, sitting high ground feels great until it doesn't.
Quick jump onto jabs and a jump away. Team Liquid poking at Talon, getting a reaction out of them, and not following through. You say, okay, that's good enough.
I mean, honestly, that is one of the reasons I think Talon have consistently gone back to the Tiny and the Tusk per Q. You're talking about stalling games. Displacement is one of the best ways to stall games, and those two heroes have oftentimes won them these late game scenarios. That's where their high ground defense, we're looking at it in this game, right? It's just around the ults. I guess your one displacement is, you know, this tidal wave.
Yeah, Makoto's going to have to provide that for them, but it's not nearly as good.
You know, just get a refresher and just triple tidal wave them into your fountain.
Yeah, with the tidal storm going on, yeah, no problem. The second Roshan is up, by the way. Team Liquid are doing it. Talon are not contesting it. I'm sure they're well aware this is going on. They even get the scan out there. But as you can see, they had zero idea of, like, we just can't take this fight. That's fine. Let them try and break us on the high ground. And,
they do give the Aegis to Mickey.
Yeah.
So they're going to opt to let him probably siege it up. Or I guess you can still just throw the Primal in and jump in with Mickey as well. I mean, either is a pretty decent choice here. The Spectre Aegis probably just too tempting because, I mean, double the HP with Dispersion is pretty nasty here.
I mean, that is a note, right? They do not have a way to be able to break this Spectre. So this much HP and a second life, you can't sit there and hit that tower for a very long time.
Which is another reason I think this hero has had a tremendous win rate at this tournament. If you get Spectre later in the draft, when you can see a lot of the cores committed, like, who's buying Silver Edge on Talon's side? Who's really dealing with Spectre in terms of the man fight? I don't see it.
Ollie, he was out there. I mean, him and NQ are going to be out there deep on the map, trying to get vision, trying to cut some waves, do these sorts of things. Eventually, they're going to be found underneath some sort of Century Ward, maybe run a Nisha with that gem.
Zai's going to poke 23, and 23 does not want any of that. Looking for his own BKB, so
doesn't want that smoke. I guess all that's left for Liquid at this point, I feel like the only thing they're really waiting on is Aghanims on the Primal piece, right?
That's the big one. Yeah, that lets Nisha initiate maybe just 100 to 0 jabs here. Who did pick up an Ags of his own on the Tidehunter, so we're talking about the high ground defense. It's starting to add up a little bit here for Talon. All right, you have this long-range Gush, you have the Torrent Storm and the pullback there.
There's going to be literally wave after wave of Gush and Tidal waves blasting out from
man. better be ready. I mean, you also have this Furion Ags that Q picked up. So if you drag Liquid deep into your base, they all get rooted under a Torrent Storm. It's potentially pretty devastating.
It's a fight that you're going to have to play it slow.
Yes, because you can't just commit it into the BKBs here.
Yeah.
It's all about getting these BKBs out early for both teams, honestly. And another pickoff. AK just pushing towards a butterfly, helping him with the Morphling man fight. But stall.
All right, there's the action on their Primal Beast, so I feel like that is the last big item of note for Team Liquid that is required for their high ground. Obviously, they're going to be continuing to scale up, but...
Well, until the Enchantress Moonshard, of course.
Right, of course, yeah.
That's the big ghost signal. Hey, there it is.
There it is. 23 is not going to have fun with that.
No. I mean, somebody's not going to have fun. Which usually on this team is Jabs, you know? I mean,
that's true, yeah.
If someone's not going to have fun, okay, Jabs, you go tank it up. It's the life of a CEO.
All right, here it comes. Time to put it to the test here. Can Talon survive through these folks? They got the BKB out of Makoto.
That's already so valuable.
Yeah, and Liquid didn't even take that much damage. They're going to keep, I mean, even from just Nisha and Insania, they're doing all right. They got a glyph out of them, got a BKB.
But you got to remember, there's no blink on the Tidehunter right now. Jabs opted for this stand your ground build. There's no real initiation power. Like, there's no surprise wrap around with a blink ravage lead into Morphling waveform in. It has to just kind of be walk up and start going on somebody. I don't know who. Take your pick. I mean, 2 lives, Dispersion Spectre.
It just keeps up happening faster and faster. With Mickey being a part of all these kills, the Butterfly's done, but he's going to have that Disperser pretty quickly soon. I don't know.
It's I just looking for a full Octarine. So he's maintaining the pace.
Yeah, I know. Boxy's going to do the same, right? So it's the Perma Shadow Realm.
Yep. Everything's just scaling here for Liquid. I mean, they are very familiar with Talon. They probably know, let's just play to scale anyway. I mean,
yeah, Talon might love playing late game, and it's going to get weird, but if you have like a 50,000 net worth lead on Team Liquid,
surely
gold can buy you out of any scenario, surely.
That's absolutely true.
And that's why Q's out on the map. That's why Ollie's out there constantly. They may be getting picked off sometimes, but somebody's got to be out there finding farms somewhere. They can't just all be sitting in their base forever, otherwise you're just going to fall too far behind in net worth.
Man, it's the old Furion Cliff Farm. You remember that?
Basically, yeah.
It's back. Only took a couple of years.
And he's going to be going for the Silver Edge. That's going to be a long time coming.
Yeah, I guess that's your Silver Edge builder. You got to build what you got to build, right?
Well, Boxy goes for the Wisdom Rune, and he might just notice that his Ancients are being taken. Immediately. Oh, gotta get out of here.
All right, well, a wasted ult here. Victory for Q. Though I will say he has not gotten many of these Wisdom Rune steals, which is something you want to see with the hero, right? Because otherwise you do fall behind in XP. Another poke on Jab. Shouldn't yield anything. That's one of the big differences in this game. You look at the experience on Talon supports compared to Liquids right now. They're both 4 levels behind.
Yeah.
That is what map control does. And that is why scaling supports are so nice in this meta. Because if you just choke the enemy out, you're getting all these Wisdom Runes, you're farming all these camps. I mean, you just get to a point where you have 5 cores.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times when I'm looking at lineups, yeah, like, okay, hard to carry, that's one note. But it's not even necessarily about the other cores. A lot of times it's about how well does that 4 position scale? Or if both support scale, then hell, even better. And in this case, Team Liquid, they're going to be very content and confident. Confident enough, in fact, that they don't have to use the 2nd Aegis. Maybe the high ground push comes with the 3rd Aegis, or the 4th. We could be in for a very long farming session here, Avery.
Yeah, you're telling me a Talon game is gonna go late?
Yeah, our time in Southeast Asia is definitely well prepared us for this moment. Yeah.
I never would have seen it coming. Finally, they smoke. As Talon decide enough is enough. They will not wait for 23's MKB.
Mickey immediately jumps onto Jab just like all the times before.
They don't want to go on him though.
Yeah, it is tough to bring down this Spectre. They're trying to get Liquid to overextend perhaps, and Nisha, Bill Oblige jumping right in there. But again, another target they simply don't want to go for.
Trying to bait them in deep for this Ravage, but I mean, Jab, they see.
Oh, he tries to go for the Ravage, but it's not good enough. And now the shots, the rainbow shots out from the Enchantress raining in. Jab's going to be punched to death. Zai, I mean, the damage will eventually come in. It's just a question of who else is going to be joining him in the grave here. Mikoto is forced to use the BKB, and they don't have anything to pierce that one. Losing 2 on the side of Talon. They took about 5 steps outside of their base, and it immediately goes all wrong. This is why they were so hesitant to do so before.
And no buyback on Jabs, no Ravage even if he had it. Should be multiple lanes here for Liquid. Heroes are way too tanky.
Liquid have been playing impatient, just waiting for them to make a mistake. And when they finally did, they're going to take a lane of barracks. They're going to take even more, and Mikoto dies now. 23 going to be in some trouble, but the BKB protects him for now. They'll be able to get back to the mountain, but Liquid, you know, they can dive tier 4s and it doesn't matter.
You have to wait for everybody to be up here. I don't know if this game's still going to be going by the time your Kunkka's up.
Yeah, at this rate, the way they keep on losing heroes, it's not going to be a lane of barracks. It's going to be
okay. There's some damage.
2, 3.
I mean, this Shadow Realm it does do some work here if 23 can get a full round off.
Yeah, there's obvious Ag's answer for the Morphling. It's just how is he going to be able to catch Boxy to turn into the. You get the jump in, he's get those shots from the Shadow Realm. Torn comes up, beautiful backing with Nisha immediately with the follow up there. This could be the killing blow as they grab that Kunkka, slam him down, but it looks like maybe they're running out a little bit of steam here. Now they're getting pulled in. Nisha still, he held onto his BKB and he's getting out of there. Meanwhile, the buildings are dying on the side of Talon. They can't exchange buildings like this, a full lane of barracks just for a BKB. They gotta get a little bit more. 22 is gonna try and get something for the Yule Scepter. It stops him almost immediately. And the first damage is just too much for 23.
23 knows he needed something there, and he just gets met with the stone wall that is this Liquid lineup. They have every answer. There's just no room to operate, and yeah, that is a very convincing game 1 from Liquid here. As was not the fastest game for them in the tournament, but very methodical, right?